Most of the time we look out into the world, we look out into things outside of us, and we think we are perceiving reality. We see something, we say, this is this, that is that, the end. But what we don't realize is that actually what we're seeing, actually what we're perceiving, is the current state of our nervous system and really our current level of perception and understanding. Because mysteriously, if all we have is a hammer, then somehow everything becomes a nail. Meaning if we're locked in, regimented, and hypnotized by one specific way of perceiving reality, then that's coincidentally all that we're going to see and all that we're going to perceive. And this is because we have a myriad of different intelligences and ways of seeing reality, which we can access at any given moment. What happens is we elevate one over the other and say this is the only way to perceive the truth. And if it doesn't meet this criterion, it's not perceived in these rigid little rules, then it's not true and it doesn't exist. But the fact of the matter is, we have a myriad of different brains. We have our cerebral brain. Yes, obviously everyone can sort of see that and understand that, and that's usually where the conversation begins and ends. Yet we also have a brain, we also have intelligence of the heart. We also have intelligence, we have a brain in our gut. And actually the vast majority of our neurotransmitters are formed in our gut, come from our gut, not our brains. Taking it deeper and just specifically looking at the cerebral brain, we have the left hemisphere, we have the right hemisphere. Both perceive reality, filter reality, and organize information in different ways. The left brain is about separation and division and linearity and tomorrow and yesterday, and not really so much about the here and now. Whereas the right brain is a little more about being in the moment, being present, and seeing connections, seeing relationships, seeing how everything sort of ties together in the bigger picture. You break your arm, you don't want some spaced out artsy person saying, oh dude, just like meditate or just like vibe it out, it'll get better. No, you want someone who's going to be like, okay, step one is this, step two is this is what's happened, this is what we have to do, this is the formula, this is the mechanics. Obviously both have value and meaning, but if you want to create a great song, if you want to make love, if you want to dance, if you want to be expressive and creative, then obviously you're going to need a different intelligence, because that little regimented linear way of seeing reality probably not going to deliver those results. If we're wanting to increase our consciousness, increase our intelligence, see more of reality and be more of who we are and experience more of what's possible, then obviously we're going to have to expand beyond the left brain, beyond the right brain, and then take it even further. Because obviously both are tools, and they can have an appropriate use and also a misuse. We can't miss what we've never had. Meaning for someone who's just totally locked into the left brain, and that's all we've ever known, and someone is talking about something really right brain, or we hear something that's coming from more of the right brain, just can't even see it. We're going to be like, nah, it's not real. There's no logic to that. There's no truth. Hasn't been proven, hasn't been validated. Where's the data? Where's the research? And that's fine, and that's appropriate in certain instances, yet in other instances it's a massive hindrance. Likewise, on the flip side, if we're someone who's just really spaced out, really all about being in the moment, and someone says, look, I need you to be here at this time on this day, then obviously it might be a little bit of a hindrance, because we're saying, oh, it doesn't matter. I mean, time doesn't exist. You know, I'm just in the moment. I'll get there when I get there. It's all good. Moral of the story is, each one of us is responsible for our current level of understanding and our current level of perception, our current level of dexterity and flexibility and fluidity throughout the various modes of intelligence of the cerebral brain, of the heart brain, as well as the gut brain. If you read a book, and it might be a really deep book, it might be really impactful, it might be very inspirational, and you read this today, and you read it and you're like, man, I got this. I totally understand what this book is all about. And then you go back a year later and read it and you're like, man, I had no idea back then. I can't believe I thought this was this, but in reality now I totally get it. Then you go back another year and you read it and you're like, man, I totally had no clue back then. Like, I just totally get it now. So really the moral of the story is like, well, did the book change? Did the actual words on the page change? Did the author's intention change? Obviously not. So then what did change? Moral of the story is, each one of us is responsible for our current level of perception, our current level of understanding and intelligence. And there's one quote which I want to close with, which really sums a lot of this thing up. And it's from Jim Rohn, who was a great success technology philosopher, teacher, lecturer, author, all these different things. He basically said, don't wish things were easier. Wish that you were better. which I think encapsulates and sums up a lot of the principles and ideas which we've just talked about and discussed throughout this video. So hopefully that's been helpful, insightful, educational, and most importantly, inspirational to connect new dots, form new neural associations, connect new pathways, and then be inspired to take different actions and say, hey, you know what? Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do that. Maybe I can open up to this or allow this to happen or create a possibility for something new to happen to expand who I am and what I think is possible and what I think I can actually pull off in this world. So if you have any questions or comments, post them below, and I'll talk to you soon.